was so here for Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion's collab. They just dropped a single called Hot Girl Summer featuring Ty Dolla $ign. And I feel like Ty Dolla $ign, he always adds like more of a to songs. Like, I love his voice. The song was fire. It was cute. Some people weren't really here for it. They felt like Nicki was just being disingenuous, trying to hop on Megan's wave. But I didn't really see it that way. They felt like that because they felt like, oh, Nicki's time is slowly coming to an end. But I mean, what's the problem with her working with an up and coming artist, collabing with her? And then another thing is, I felt like their vibe was more genuine. Some artists, you can tell it's just all for business, but when you see them interact with each other, you can tell that the vibe is actually genuine. Some people tried to make it seem like there was some sort of beef between them, that they have falling out just because Nicki said that Megan wouldn't be at her interview on Queen Radio. And it's like, why does everything have to be a beef? I feel like sometimes people read too deep into things, because I mean, right now Megan is what's popping, she's what's charting at the moment. This summer is her time. She's really getting her notoriety that she deserves. So she could be out there doing interviews and attending to other shows she has to perform to, so not everything's a beef. I don't really have any complaints as far as the collab. Now, I will say Nicki's recent podcast with Joe Budden was hilarious, because she brought him on there to hash out their differences, and she cut his mic off as soon as he mentioned her apparently popping pills, allegedly popping pills. She pulled his mic off. That was so petty. I'm the type of person that, even if I feel like someone has to say some nonsense, I will still give them a chance. I feel like she still should have given him a chance to get out what he was gonna say, instead of just cutting off his mic like that, but I'm here for the pettiness. It was childish. It was funny though, but at the same time, she should have gave him a chance to say his truths. I don't know, I'm just that type of person that even if I feel like what you're gonna say is some nonsense, I will still give you the opportunity to say their truths. And I was interested in watching their interaction because they both have similar personalities in a way, so it was kind of cool to see them sit down and hash things out. I wonder if her and Cardi could do the same one day, probably come to a truce. Who knows? I wanted to talk about Young Miami a little bit, because I wonder how she's doing since that shooting. So for those of you who didn't know, she was at some event and her car was shot up 14 times. She was targeted because of who her boyfriend is, and I blame him because of who he is, who he surrounds himself with, and it just goes to show that hood love is not it. Dealing with those hood boogers, they will put you in the position to get killed, because he runs his mouth too much on social media. And the same thing happened to Regina Carter some months ago. Because of who her boyfriend is, they targeted her and shot her car up. Luckily, she wasn't harmed at all. And the same for Young Miami. She wasn't harmed at all. 14 bullets, but she wasn't harmed whatsoever. And I hope she takes this as a wake-up call to just get out of Miami. It's sad that she can't stay in her hometown, but at the moment it's just not safe, because it's just dangerous. She needs to get out of Miami and just move to Atlanta, just somewhere elsewhere, for the sake of her unborn child and her safety. Can you imagine being under so much pressure to uphold your group's name, because she's from the City Girls and her partner in crime is still locked up? JT should be out of jail next year, I believe. And then on top of that, being pregnant, that's too much pressure. I really hope she's doing well these days. And also, you young girls should take their situations as a lesson that hood love is not it. There's a reason why these dudes stay strapped up. They're also so paranoid about their own demise because they've burned so many bridges with so many people in the hood. So they're paranoid about who's coming after them. So you really just gotta watch your back and just don't surround yourself with those type of people. Be careful about the company that you keep. So ASAP had his first performance 2 days ago since being released from jail. For those of you guys who didn't know, he was arrested last month in Sweden because of a video that resurfaced of him and his friends jumping some guy he claimed harassed him. In this clip I'm about to play for you guys, he's addressing his fans about being locked up. Afterwards, I will return with my commentary.
Everybody put a motherfucking gun in the air like this. Guns in the air. Guns up. Guns up! Fuck you! Guns in the fucking air like this. Guns up! Here right now. That was a scary, humbling experience, but I'm here right now. God is good, man. You know what I'm saying? People who ain't even fuck with me felt sympathy and sympathetic for my situation. People was praying for me. That uplifted me when my spirits was low. I can't thank y'all enough, man. That was crazy. Thank you so much.
Okay, for starters, it was too soon for him to be talking about some put your guns up, put your guns up. Meanwhile, dude, you're still dealing with the legalities pertaining to your assault case. No, it wasn't a gun charge, but it was an assault charge. And when it comes to dealing with any type of legal issues, you really gotta watch how you move. That clip could have been used against them in court, and they really could have said, oh, he was trying to promote violence. Just an example to give about how it could have been used against him. And another thing is the man that he assaulted along with his friends, the guy that he jumped, if the guy really wanted to, he could follow up with a civil lawsuit. So ASAP really has to watch the way he moves and what he says from here on out. Now, what are my thoughts on the situation? For starters, I felt like people kind of exaggerated it, saying, oh, he's living in inhumane conditions, free ASAP, oh, screw Sweden. Even celebrities got involved, such as Kim Kardashian, Tyler the Creator, and even Trump hopped on the bandwagon just to get the black vote, but you know, some people are gonna fall for it. Here's the thing, people were acting like he got locked up for no reason, like he was racially profiled. Yes, being racially profiled is an issue in the black community, but that wasn't the case. In his situation, he actually committed a crime. He assaulted that man. Yes, the guy was harassing him, but he jumped the dude, him and his friends, and they stepped on his arm, and that video resurfaced. And you have to remember, the laws are different in foreign countries. It's not like how in the US, because of your status or your wealth, you can just finesse your way out of the slammer if you're a celebrity. No, that's not how it works in Sweden. In Sweden, it takes more time, and they believe that you should be locked up and await a trial. So you don't just get out that quickly. The laws are different. It's not like Subway, you can't have it your way. Also, people kind of exaggerated ASAP's living conditions while he was incarcerated. People were saying, oh my god, he's living in inhumane conditions. They're only feeding him an apple a day. But I mean, doesn't an apple a day keep the doctor away? They're like, oh my god, he's sleeping on some cardboard. Like, nah, him and his 6th grade survived. And here's the thing, like in Sweden, they don't believe in keeping people in inhumane conditions. They try to make the jail cells more, bearable. And apparently they look more like a college dorm. It's not like here where the jail cells are actually like the slums. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 and keep it real with y'all. ASAP has never really been my cup of tea. I never understood the hype about him. Like, some of his songs are cool, but I just couldn't rock with him as a person because of his mentality. He's always making derogatory remarks towards black women, dark-skinned women who look like me. And then also not being for the cause, not caring about issues within his community. Some people say, oh, that was like so long ago, but when it comes to self-hate, that's a whole other ballgame because that's something that was instilled in you from a young age. And I brought up him making those remarks towards dark-skinned black women, because he mentioned how when the incident first transpired, it was two African girls who actually tried to de-escalate the situation.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, everybody. We saw bottles on the floor and we picked them up. We didn't want them to get the bottles. We didn't want them to have them in their possession. At that moment, some African girls came over and they decided to help and try to mediate the situation. We told them to ask the guys to leave us alone and to stop following us. They disregarded that too, what the young ladies were saying. At this point, I woke up the block and I start to notice that Tim walks down the block to tell the girls, you know, please tell him, leave us alone, leave us alone. And these guys were following again.
Funny how it was the women he looked down upon who actually had his back, not his preference. He said, red lipstick looks ugly on dark skin, bright colors don't suit us, it looks more favorable on fair-skinned women and Caucasian women, all types of nonsense. And it's like, why are they always coming for us dark skins? We didn't do nothing but be black and beautiful. But at the same time, I don't allow these types of comments from color-struck dudes to get under my skin, because if you think about it, they have deep-rooted issues. They were probably brought up around a lot of self-hating family members, you know, that instilled that type of mentality in them from a young age. Now, people also brought up how a couple years ago he said some pretty nasty stuff in an interview pertaining to the black community, his own community, saying how he could care less about Black Lives Matter or the riots in Ferguson, pertaining to that young black man, Mike Brown, who was killed due to police brutality for the sole reason because he was a black man and the cop was just intimidated by him because he was a young black man. And then he also said, oh, well, I'm living it up in Soho, Beverly Hills. That doesn't concern me. I can't relate to those issues. So when this happened to him, people used that against him and said, well, we're not in Sweden. We can't relate to those issues. And the funny thing is, in that interview, he was saying how he's not Reverend Al Sharpton. He shouldn't feel the need to have to speak up on black issues. He's not an activist. No one's asking you to be an activist, but there's a fine line between being an activist and being a coon. Yeah, like some people don't like speaking up about political issues, which is fine, but he could have just said no comment instead of spewing such ignorance. I brought up his comments about Reverend Al Sharpton because when he was dealing with this whole ordeal, he actually reached out to Reverend Al Sharpton in the black community to petition for him and get the word out. And my thing is, you can't diss your own community and then expect for them to have your back. Like, no, they're gonna leave you high and dry. Like, nah, you can't be like, help me, but you were the main one dissing them and looking down upon them. They're gonna say, nah, you're on your own, brother.
Somebody help me, please. Nobody's gonna help me, please.
You're a real one if you know what movie that's from. Comment down below if you know, though. Moral of the story, I think this was ASAP's karma. This was the universe's way of humbling him a little bit. And I hope he learned his lesson from this, that you can't diss your own community and then expect for them to have your back. Also, I hope that he's learned to watch his mouth in the future, that what you say or do will come back to haunt you when you are a public figure. We really need to pay attention to who we glorify, and that's the sole reason why I don't worship any celebrities, because they can be as simple-minded and ignorant as the everyday people. With that being said, please like, subscribe, and feel free to leave your feedback in the comment section below.